Hello there, fellow humans, and welcome to the update 10.3 balance changes that are now on the test server. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them because many of them are in fact pointless, like the M60 receiving 2 kilometers more top speed, but I'm going to put them all on screen so you can have a look at them. The E3 gets removed consumable, which doesn't matter. Now, the E4, a little bit more interesting, actually gets reduced alpha damage, which doesn't really make sense, but also have its shell types changed. The yaws emergency tracks do get better, and the traverse gets worse. No, Concept 1B is going to get quite a bit of a buff. Reload time, shell speed, and the reverse speed get decreased, which is pretty good. More DPM. And the E5 is going to get 1 second better reload, which is very amazing. And finally, it's about time. 50% heavy gets a bit worse with increased clip time, but overall, it's going to stay just about the same. M48 pattern is going to get better turret armor. Needs that, definitely. It is currently the worst one of the M60 and M48 by just a little bit, but that's perfectly fine. Sheridan gets view range at 265 and better aim time. And the T95 E6 is getting quite a bit of a buff with 0.38 seconds shorter reload and better mobility. So watch out for that one in the future. Still not going to have any armor, but it might be just a little bit better. Now the Yak Panzer gets tungsten shells, which okay. The grill gets hard nerfed once again, which is not really great. And the mouse is getting a slight buff, which makes it more accurate and a little bit higher DPM. And the VK90 is getting a change in consumable, which again is not really relevant because I myself always recommend multi-kit, adrenaline, and repair kit because most of those consumables don't really do anything for you anyway most of the time. Now, the VK72, who cares about that vehicle, but it is getting nerfed in terms of the alpha damage and less hit points. Also, less aim time, though, which is very nice. Now, do I care about this vehicle? No. Should you care about it? No. The E100 is getting worse reload, and the Leopard 1 is getting better reload. So if you don't have the Leopard yet, get the Leopard. E50M is not really going to get much changes except getting better armor, which is very nice. And the KPZ gets consumables, I guess. So, anyway. 268 version 4. It's also getting different shells. All of these changes don't matter. They're absolutely irrelevant. But it does get better forward speed. It does get better reload time, which is very important. So, does 268, whatever. And a 263 also gets better reload. Overall, though, get better armor as well, which it does need. And, worse armor penetration, though, on the Object 260 also gets a buff in line of the T95 E6 with better DPM and a bit less engine power. The Object 777 remains worse than the 113. The i7 is getting nerfed quite a bit for some reason in terms of its mobility and penetration. The i4 is getting less hit points, less armor penetration, and overall more mobility, I guess. Doesn't make sense. T100 LT is getting better reload time, which is very useful. And the T22 medium is getting worse DPM. 62A is getting more average damage for some reason. I mean, it's a 100mm gun, but I guess also the reload gets longer for that. But it doesn't really make sense to give a 100mm gun 20 more alpha damage to 330, but I guess this is wargaming. The Object 140 is getting hard nerfed again, basically with better mobility, better reload, but armor completely removed, essentially. Why won't you just play a Leopard 1 at that point? And the 907 gets less armor and better mobility as well. Again, why would you just not play the Leopard 1 at that point? Then the Vickers Light is getting shorter reload, but way less alpha damage, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Again, it's a 105mm gun, and they're going to nerf the alpha damage down to 300. Does not make any sense whatsoever. The FE205B, it's going to get its forward speed and engine power improved, but the armor nerfed, which doesn't make sense for it at all. The FE4202's Hesh gun is getting nerfed, less reload, but better aim time. The Heat gun, however, is being buffed with better reload. However, again, that's sad. 183, I don't care about the 183. The Chieftain's getting shell type changed, which means AP shells are slower than APCR shells. Same happens with the Badger. The Badger is also getting less penetration for the EP, but 45 more for HE, which is going to hurt quite a bit. And the 4005 is going to traverse faster, reverse slower, and not get the reticle calibration consumable anymore, which What is the point of these consumables? All they do is make the game more complicated to play while adding not much. All you need to do is aim. Super Conqueror is going to get better reload, which is very nice. Already a very good tank. Highly recommend picking it up. STB is also getting better reload. The DPMs are rising at tier 10 apparently, so power creep is real. But the damage per shot is reduced by 20 points for HE and AP, which again doesn't make sense. It's a 105mm gun. Make it 350. But yeah, Type 71, worse reload. Doesn't matter. E5 is way better now. And the Hori is getting better armor, basically. Now, the 5A, it's also better reload, but less alpha damage. What's the point of getting, like, all these tanks having lower alpha damage and better, like, it's just pointless. It just makes the game bad. Anyway, again, same with the 113. Lower alpha damage. 132, more alpha damage. 121, more engine power. 121B, it's still gonna suck. So, there's that. I mean, I don't understand all these alpha damage changes. They don't make sense. They're pointless. But anyway, here we are. The 113 GFT gets better aim time, which is very nice, and better engine power. So that is very good. Now, the Object 268 does have to watch out quite a bit. 50B is getting buffed with better clip and intra-clip reload and better hull traverse and better intra-clip. So that's not too bad. Foch, nothing happens. And the MXM449 will decrease again in alpha damage, which does not make any sense. 30B, it's still going to be horrible, but less reload time, which means it's going to be slightly less horrible, but it's still going to be horrible. And at 1,800 hit points, the Batshak gets more view range, the 100mm gun, which doesn't matter, and the 105mm gun gets better penetration and more alpha damage, but less reload. So that is a change I actually support because it makes sense. It's always been a 105mm gun, and the standard for 105mm gun is 350 alpha damage. So every 105mm gun should have 350 alpha damage to make sense for new players. Anyway, 60 TP. Yeah. More damage, less penetration, whatever. Karo, more turret armor, less mobility, already doesn't have any. Minotauro, somehow making the Karo slower is indeed possible because that's what's going to happen. The Progetto is going to get better reload, but less armor and a little bit more engine power. The TBP is going to get nerfed with intra-clip set to 1.88 instead of 1.5, and the reverse speed is adjusted as 17. Now, the VZ55 still doesn't receive its two-shot autoloader gun, making it still useless. The STR-VK is getting less armor, but longer reload as well. So, kind of a bit of a nerf to this vehicle overall. And then the Kranwagen does get slightly faster, better engine power as well. And, well, less penetration, unfortunately. But the intra-clip reload, which is very good, is reduced by half a second. But the aiming time is getting made worse, so they're not making that big a difference. So overall, a lot of pointless changes that are simply change for the sake of change, which is very bad, obviously. But in general, I'm not a big fan of most of these changes because it's just like, oh, change the alpha damage that, change the alpha damage that, add a consumable here. Most of these changes are utterly pointless, which makes the game a lot harder to play, a lot harder to figure out for casual players because 105mm gun should have 350 alpha damage. If it doesn't, it's confusing for the people that don't know what they're doing. That's the problem.